Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Happy Redemption Thursday. Another odd start time because of Braves baseball. They have a chance to close out. More on that in a moment. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. If you're listening via YouTube, watching, thank you for that. Appreciate you. Hello. And if you're listening to the old-fashioned radio, well, I just give you a big hug for that. I like that. Email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameronShow. All guests appear via the Phone Hero hotline. Phone Hero specializing in iPhone and iPad repair. 2 locations, 2915 Cary Forest Parkway, also 833 West Gain Street, online at phoneherotlh.com. We got Buccaneers football tonight, gang. Tampa Bay travels to Chicago, take on the Bears. Thursday night games, short rest, always weird. Not really sure what to make of it on a Redemption Thursday. The number always matters. In my life, the number always matters. Anyhow, the Bears are getting 3.5 here. If I had to be on a side, and I'm not, I would take the Bears at 3.5.
This is the dangerous thing about Thursday games, but I would project the under of 44.5, depending upon where you're looking. This game, I don't know how you get there without turnovers and short fields.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. You're probably going to see some turnovers. I think you got a banged-up wide receiving core for Tampa Bay, so guys won't be where they're supposed to be. Timing will be off. I think you've got a problem in the making there. And then, obviously, Nick Foles looked awful last week against the Colts, and the Bucs defense is really good. So could be interesting to see how that plays out for both these teams. Offensively, I think that's where the tough sledding comes into play here.
If the Bucs win this one convincingly, and I'd say 10 points is convincingly with the way this game is going to be played, that is a huge test that is passed for the Bucs. To be able to do that offensively and defensively, put a game plan together and execute that game plan without Godwin, without O.J. Howard anymore, and that's going to be moving forward, without Mike Evans at 100%, Scotty Miller at 100%, and not even Justin Watson, who you'd use to fill in maybe where Evans usually lines up if he wasn't able to go for all the snaps. They have to put together just an absolute, with rubber bands and duct tape kind of game plan tonight.
Get to the Knowles momentarily. Tom, I thought of you when I was looking at the lines in the NFL this weekend, or last night for this weekend. Do you know what this weekend is? And I'm here to proclaim it. It's two-team teaser time. It's two-team teaser time. It up and down.
Two-team teaser.
It's two-team teaser time, people. I got to tell you, it is up and down the lineup that this two-team teaser time. You can do crazy things this week. A lot of just straight-up picking the winner and making it -1. How'd you like this one? This is on my official card, Tom. I'll just straight-up tell you it is. You want to get to where you're just picking winners, right? So you think the Rams are going to beat Washington, don't you?
I do.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to give you 7. How about I just give you 1?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give you 1, right? So I did that. So we circled the Rams. Now, who's going to join the party? Well, you feel like the Cardinals are going to beat the Jets?
They should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're betting against Kyle Allen and Joe Flacco this weekend. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you, Tom.
I like those thoughts.
That's a teaser there. I'll give you just the 1 in New York. You get just the point, and I'm teaming up. So really short, Rams, Cardinals teaser. You can do it again if you like because there's more teasers out there, friends. Look at Philadelphia playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ain't no way Philadelphia beats the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially not since I'm just going to give you 1. Just give you the 1. I'm not giving you the 7. I'm giving you just the 1.
That's a teaser.
I'm going to give you just the 1, buddy. Not likely that we watch the Minnesota Vikings go to Seattle and beat the Seattle Seahawks, is it, Tom?
Probably not.
No. I'm going to give you just the 1, though. I'm going to give you just the 1 right there. That's another teaser right there. Little two-team teaser pleaser this weekend is what we got in the NFL. And if you want, you can do it again. There's a bunch of them out there this weekend. It's teaser heaven.
Yeah, so that's what I looked at this past weekend. I did some mock teasers. I'm looking
You're mocking up your teasers.
That's
now?
right. I'm in the draft room.
Yeah.
I'm in the war room.
Okay, let's look at that teaser. This teaser.
So I had the Bucs and I had the Chiefs. And the first half wasn't looking so good for the Bucs at -1 or -1.5.
Yeah, you just picked them to win the game.
Yeah. And then the Chiefs, I would have gotten at 7.5, so you push that down to 1.5.
That's right. I'm going to give you just the 1.
Buddy, that would have been easy breezy teasing Monday night. Now, for the bulk of those games, you'd be nervous in both ways.
But
by the end of it, you're cover train.
You've made your money. You're all aboard the cover train. Hey, so that's the thing. When you gamble, it's not about removing nerves. It's about adding the juice, baby. So you expect to be nervous. It's all right. That's adding the juice. A little something for your 4 hours in front of a TV.
So today is the 4T, the 2-team teaser Thursday.
Yeah, that's what it is today. Those are on the official Jeff Cameron Show card.
Are they really?
Yeah, those
you have
are.
2-team teasers?
I have two team teasers, yes.
That's an easy thing for people to pick against you, though, because all they need is
one thing.
One of the two to not hit.
Yeah, well, what they need is Minnesota to beat Seattle. They need somehow, some way, the Eagles to beat the Steelers. They need the Jets to get their first win of the year over the Cardinals, or they need Washington to beat the Rams. I like my chances.
Or they get a push in any one of those circumstances.
They're not getting a push. It's
21-20.
Okay. Well, you could get that. That's right. Because pushes equal death in the teaser realm.
That's right.
Can't have that. College football, meanwhile.
Pushing and teaser, they don't go together.
No, can't have that. Now, college football is a little bit different. I've more standard fare there. I actually am inclined, Tom, and let me do this. I'm inclined to take the Noles plus 21.5.
Oh, my.
If you get the hook, take it.
So it was at 20.5 yesterday.
It's 21.5
It's moved
now.
to 21.5 now?
I'm inclined to take the 21.5. If you could get down with that number, not every place has that. I did find it at one place. It's still 20.5 at a lot of places. But I'm taking it at 21.5.
Teasing it up to 26.5?
No. That's not an important number. If you're going to tease it up, just tease it up past 21. But
clear you over 24.
Over 24,
which at that point
becomes,
pretty key.
Yeah, it's an interesting week. I think Georgia's going to smother Tennessee. I gave the 12.5 there. That defense is probably the best defense in the country. And I think they're going to play like it every week. Tennessee has done a good job of protecting their quarterback. He hasn't had to throw a lot on third down. He's going to throw a lot on third down. That's one of the problems we have with Jordan Travis this week. He didn't have to throw but 2 passes last week on third down against Jacksonville State. So those windows get tight. And when it's third and obvious and you got to throw the football, that's my concern in the game against Notre Dame is they're going to put us behind the chains every now and again. Jacksonville State didn't. Once we got it rolling, they didn't. So you get behind the chains, and now you're going to ask that kid to throw the ball into tight windows.
So, 21.5. That's on the ledger for this week.
It's on the ledger.
FSU plus 21.5.
Yeah, no, you don't even have to play all the way down on my plums. It's not quite that sure.
That's not what I was going to hit.
Oh, okay.
Tall boys. Somebody's winning, tall boys.
I will take Notre Dame minus the 21.5.
Taking your card. I'm taking your card right here, right now. You SOB.
Oh, hey now.
You cannot do
this
that.
This is not a podcast. This is live radio. I'm just going to keep my realist card over here. It's right. The realist card.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be a realist, too, and take Virginia Tech to straight up beat North Carolina. I'll take your 5 points. I'll take your 4 points, whatever you want to give me there. But I think Virginia Tech's just going to straight up beat you. I don't need the points. I'll take them, but I don't need them. They're going to win the game.
Would you put a tall boy on, just a winner?
No, I'd want the
2 tall boys for one. How about 2 tall boys for one?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Tall boys.
Yep.
Somebody's winning, tall boys.
There you go. I'm going to take South Carolina to beat Vandy. I bet against Vandy every week. It's like my standard bet against Kansas.
Yep.
Anytime you can bet against Vandy and Kansas, just do it until at some point Vegas makes it absurd. Like those teams will be getting 50 at some point.
You would have lost the A&M bet, though, a couple of weeks ago.
17-12, yes. Yeah. Jimbo let me down, as he has many times. But, I don't know what to do with that game, speaking of which. A&M in Florida. Doesn't this feel like, and work with me here, doesn't just feel like, I don't know that I have the evidence. This isn't evidence-based. This is a feeling, so take it for what it's worth. You ought not wager your mortgage on a feeling. But doesn't it feel like A&M shows up here and plays a good game against Florida? Or do you think they're just dead, that they're irrevocably broken, that they're not going to come back from this malaise we're watching them play with? They've looked bad in both of their games this year, A&M has.
Yeah, I think if A&M plays well in this game and the game plays out the way I have it in my head, that looks like they go north of 30 points, right? They have to, because Florida's defense is the
not
part
great.
of its game that's open for business. but it's just hard for me to project that because let's say that Mullen and the UF offense gets 2 scores up on Jimbo. I don't know. I don't know that Jimbo's got it in him to rally from a couple scores down. He needs to be in it early and often because if he's not, they're going to lose.
Well,
and they're going to lose big.
He was in it last week, tied at 14, and the wheels came flying off. All of a sudden, it was a thorough ass beating. I don't know. I didn't touch the game, by the way. I'll tell you what I did do. I did kind of have some fun with some of these other games that are middling games, if you will. Kind of like East Carolina, Tom, against South Florida. I'll take ECU getting the 4.5 there against USF.
They're getting points against USF.
Surprised me too, Tom. I hear it in your voice. Surprised me as well. I will take that. You know the most interesting game of the weekend, oddly, because something has to give here. Kentucky and Mississippi State. It's basically a pick 'em. It's 1.5, right? So what does Mike Leach do, right? He does a lot of things to surprise you and make you laugh and make you wonder what it would be like if he were your head coach. And then you watch him lose like he did against Arkansas and score a robust, 14 points against that team. And you're like, okay, well, that's why you don't hire Mike Leach because, yeah, he'll beat LSU and he'll throw for 600 yards and yuck it up at the press conference afterwards. And then the following week he'll lose to somebody he has no business losing to. That's who he is. Okay, well, Kentucky and Mark Stoops can't get it together. They keep losing. Did you see how they lost last week? My man is celebrating going into the end zone, gives the peace sign, gets hawked down, then fumbles on the next play from the goal line, and they lose in overtime. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That might result in an ass beating.
Not with the peace sign part of it, but I certainly have been there for a game in Atlanta in which we were going in for the lead score and
but somebody fumbled the ball, but it's different than that. It's like you have a touchdown, but then you celebrate and you get hawked down, and then you're the one who fumbles on the next play from the goal line. I mean, it's not often you're not there to pick up your teammates. You got to be there to pick up your teammates. That's one of those times you might pick up your teammates in order to throw them. That's like, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we, 10? What are you doing? We're trying to get a win out here. So there's that aspect. Kentucky's pass defense right now is, per play, arguably the worst in the country. It's a 1-point spread.
Ooh, well. So is it the most interesting game or the most favorable game?
I think it's just fascinating. I don't know what to do with it. Because I'd like to say Mississippi State throws the ball, goes wild here, but
it sounds like the evidence is pointing you to that conclusion. You just don't want to pull the trigger because you don't believe in Leach.
I don't believe in Leach. I believe he's capable of,
you made one hell of a sales pitch to go take the side of Mississippi State and said, I don't know, though. All the evidence suggests that Mississippi State should throw for 550.
They should, but I don't trust them. I just can't get a sense. I don't know. I'm going to have to talk myself into games today. We're going on earlier than we normally do. I'm not all together with my games yet. I feel a little off here. I like my 2-team teasers in the NFL. I love those all day long. I think I'm going to have 3 of them. I've got
teaser.
2. I've got 2 already. 2 2-team teasers. I may go to 3 2-team teasers before the afternoon's
Can
up.
you do a 3-team teaser?
I'm going to try. We'll see what my bookie says or what my online site says. We'll see.
I have a feeling that bookies like teasers.
They typically do, but I'm deadly with a teaser.
That's your bookie if you're trying to run a 4-team teaser out.
That's fine, but, I mean, you got some odds going in your favor there, some real money-making opportunities here. And when I call with a 2-team teaser, they get a little nervous. Like, Cameron's on that teaser. When Cameron's on the teaser, good things happen for Cameron. I'm a little worried about this. Other people call in teasers, and I don't worry about it. Jeff calls in teasers. We got problems. These are solid teasers.
It's like Train Car Willie. Puts his ear on the train tracks down to the second. He can tell you how long it's going to be before you see that train with your very eyes.
Take Clemson, give the 14, but don't give 14.5. Give the 14. You can get it. It's out there. You can give it. But 14.5, steer clear. Don't want to mess with the hook there. I just worry about getting backdoored there. That's feels like a little,
It's always a worry.
Especially if you're in prison. But it's a you're sitting here thinking to yourself, 14.5, no, 14. Okay, I'll give 14. I feel good about that. In short, it's a 2-team teaser. Kind of Sunday. That's what you're looking for. That's what today's Redemption Thursday show is all about. Braves are on later today. We'll make way for it. Lida Kemper, JoeBucksFan.com is going to join us later today. Look forward to it. Bucs Bears tonight. We've got that game for you right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. And Joey St. Germain joins us for DFS, DSG on DFS.
We'll also have the Scuttlebucks at 6 o'clock, provided the Braves don't go 18 innings.
So many good things on a Thursday to be flipping around listening to, including this here program. Thanks for tuning to it. We'll be back with you momentarily. Think the Braves finish them off today? Feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Sixto pitched well in the last series.
Pitched really well. 5 shutout innings.
It's just hard to see where runs are going to come from if you're a Marlins fan today. One of the 5 who were listening. Hello there.
Frustrating moments for them so far. I will say, the Dodgers-Padres great last night. A's-Astros great last night. Rays-Yankees fun last night. The series have been really, really engaging. Rays are now on the brink, 1 game away of going to the ALCS. That's my phone thinking I'm talking to her, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's because you're saying the word series. That's she always freaks out.
Every time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's happened to me on the Joe Bolts fan a few times.
That's pretty damn annoying. She's like, I'm right here. What's up, Jeff?
I found a way to pivot to the best of 7 instead of saying the S word so that she doesn't get activated. Yeah.
There's that. Anyhow, the ALCS. And then, thankfully, Oakland wins. You just, come on, really? I can't see the Astros. If the Astros go to the World Series, I'm going to be visibly shaken. I really hate that team. That cannot happen, man. That is not right.
So the team,
they should have not even been in the damn playoffs. They were sub 500. Get the hell out of here with that.
So the team you're rooting for is the winner of the Yankees and the Rays.
Yeah, and I never root for the Yankees. Like, if the Yankees came back and won that series, I may don the pinstripes. I can't have it. Oh, it hurts to say out loud. No, I don't want it to happen, and no, but damn it, man.
Look how close our colors are to black, but they're not really black. Look at us. We're so cool.
Oh, man. I also like that they've gotten testy. Things have gotten testy. I like that. I mean, there are a lot of teams mad at each other. Rays, Yankees don't like each other at all. Houston and Oakland have a real problem with each other. And by the way, Oakland's just steady beating people. I will give them credit for that. Like, if they go down, they're going down swinging. They're beating people left and right. But last night, the Dodgers and the Padres had a little dust up to them.
Aaron Boone has forgotten where he came from in recent years. Did you notice his interview last night? The little dugout ditties that they do with the sideline reporters?
Mm-hmm.
So they catch him as they cut to him before he's asked his first question, and he stares to the sky. He's over it. He's over it. Like, before it even starts, he's oh. And then they're like, okay, we're here with manager, but they didn't cut that part out. I wonder if the truck left it in. But it's like, hey, man, you were just in the booth doing Sunday Night Baseball. That's how you got this job, was through the media keeping your name relevant rather than the Boone name just hanging out in retirement.
I would say this, too. It's weird. He is off-putting in the sense that he's always angry. And I guess what we've learned here is that he's an ass. Like, that's who he is.
Oh, totally. Yes.
He's an ass. I mean, he can't be bothered.
It's one of the things I always enjoyed about Mike Martin Jr., and I know that he'll be classified as a red ass, but that's different than like hashtag a-hole. Big difference.
And we mean it in a good way. It's
right,
a good way, yeah.
Right. He's real, but like there are some baseball guys that are weird. Like, I mean, you've been in a clubhouse before, me too, and I don't mean covering the team. I mean the atmosphere of being with baseball players. That's a weird locker room setting. Like, football is kind of normal, hockey's normal. Baseball is kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of strange.
Soccer's kind of strange, but I think baseball
is way up there on the weird scale.
On the weird factor. Mm-hmm. Like the things they pull and the tricks and stuff. Aaron strikes me as very much of that, like, weird baseball guy family. Well,
the oddity about baseball guys, and even baseball guys I think would admit this, yes, there are weird idiosyncrasies amongst all of them because there's a lot of superstition involved in baseball and a lot of weird doing the same thing all the time type stuff, even more so than in other sports, And that gets made fun of. Hell, it's the stuff of lore, right? It's in movies, all those kinds of things. He needs a set of candles and, a chicken and everything. So all that stuff is there, right? But they also are quirky in a bad way. Like they almost strike you, even though the sport doesn't lend itself to this, they almost strike you as golf country club kids. The annoying, entitled golf country club kids.
There's a combo of that.
I feel like
but
that.
Then also the pranks that are pulled are more routinely over the line. Like, the stuff that I've heard about baseball clubhouses in my high school, and then obviously I played till I was 13, and then some of the things you hear about clubhouses at the collegiate level.
I don't know that they're
level.
more over the line than hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Hockey does some weird stuff, too.
Hockey guys are just, like Canadian hicks. They're just weird. But they're not like... Okay, so Pedro Martinez once loosened up the locker room, got them laughing during a losing streak. by parading around the locker room naked in a Yoda mask. This is for the Mets in like 2006. And this is after he's done for the year. That's how he cheered the team up. And then he'd run in people's lockers and maybe he'd be in too close contact with guys running around just stark naked with a Yoda mask on. But that's par for the course in a baseball clubhouse. It's a weird place.
By the way, NFL note here, they just can't stop themselves. They're going to have to shut down the damn Tennessee Titans. This is dumb. More players tested positive. They were informed, by the way, back on September 29th that in-person gatherings had been banned because of the organization's ongoing coronavirus outbreak, a league source telling ESPN's Dan Graziano, meaning that the players' informal workouts the following day were unauthorized and in a violation of the NFL's virus-related protocols, which we knew was going to come out because that had been the rumor. Then a group of Titans players held a workout at a Nashville high school last Wednesday, a day after the organization had closed down its facility. The Titans have now had 23 positive tests, with another player testing positive for the virus this morning. Adam Schefter is reporting that the NFL is investigating whether the Titans have violated COVID-19 protocols more than once, and this is going to be problematic for them. I think the league is getting close to we're just going to forfeit your games. Like, you're not putting everybody else out because you dumbasses can't behave, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it sounds like that's going to be the inevitability. Is they have to go there. This isn't a collegiate roster where you have an extra 30 bodies available. You've got some practice squatters you can call up, but I mean, at some point you have to play football games. And if they can, trace it back to 1 or 2 or 3 events where guys aren't following the rules, it's a warning shot. I mean, I'm sure there are other franchises around the NFL that have players that have done things like this. They just haven't tested positive. They didn't get caught, so to speak. But you could best believe that front offices are having these conversations with the other 31 teams saying, guys, if you haven't closed the ranks already, do so. Because here's what's going.
Vrabel's received that phone call.
I would think so.
Yeah, and he is, just judging by his comments, it sounds like he's a guy that is of the utmost concern. I mean, look, this is money. This is their livelihood. And the Titans are good. I mean, they should be a playoff team. They're a good football team, and that goes out the window real quick when you suddenly are amassing a losing record because you can't play the games and you got to forfeit them. It's brutal. But also, I don't know how that works in the league because you can't just give teams wins.
Well, but maybe you could give them losses and give the other team a no decision. I don't know. That's a really
just go by
tough
winning
call.
percentage. I think they're going to have to go by winning percentage at that point, but it better be winning percentage over the course of 15 games, not 12.
So we talked about this yesterday. They can definitely add a week 18, but how much can they do beyond that?
Yeah, I don't think much. They're talking about, in some cases, and it may not just be for the Titans, but some of what they may need to do is kind of what we just saw with these doubleheaders on a Monday. They're talking about playing a Tuesday night game in some cases. If you can get to where, so let's say you test today, obviously you had a positive test. That's not good. But if you test tomorrow and you get no positives, and then you test Saturday, you get no positive. You test Sunday, you get no positive. You could start to think about playing a Tuesday game. They'd be down 20 players or whatever. But
yeah, that's not fair to the other team, though. Like, why does the other team have to play on a Tuesday and turn around and play on a Sunday? Because you can't keep it together.
No, you're right. And I don't know that they would. They've talked about that being a possibility, doing some unprecedented stuff, obviously.
They're okay to do some of these things now with the shuffling of bye weeks and such because the bye weeks haven't cleared. But once the bye weeks clear,
yeah, now you're in trouble.
Now you're in real big trouble.
Well, the most penal aspect of what the league is kicking around doing to these teams who have found to have violated protocol, and you know that the teams that are following protocol and the players that are doing the right things are enraged. You want to talk about causing strife within a locker room. If you're one of these guys that's you go to the facility, you work out, you do your practice, you go home, and you know, okay, listen, I got to be accountable to the guy next to me. I got to be accountable to my family. I have a small window to make this money. We're playing this season. I got to take this seriously. I can't be out at the bars, can't be at the strip clubs, can't do any of that stuff. Got to go home. And then you have 23 of your teammates who don't do that, who don't do the right thing, who then test positive for. And now we're talking about being in a situation where not only will they potentially forfeit games, the league is now saying they're just going to straight up take draft picks. So you're affecting the trajectory of your franchise over the next 5 years. You start taking first and second round picks. It's like taking scholarships from football teams. You can't do it, not without there being major repercussions.
Yeah, it's tough, and I wonder what they do with game checks. Because what if you're a player who didn't test positive?
Yeah, you're like,
they can't take
right.
your game check, can they? But maybe they can, in terms of a suspension, take it from the guys who did. But it's hard to trace and say that this is somebody's fault, or they're just sitting in the locker room stall next to somebody who acted out. That's the hard part.
That is the harder part, because it isn't hard to trace that we just saw you at a high school working out with these 16 guys, and by the way, 14 of them tested positive.
Right.
I know what you did there, but the guy who sat next to you the next day, he had no idea, and yeah.
The concerning thing to me is the lag time and the trailing effect. I remember this, the incubation period being the talking point back in like March and April.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing it rear its head with these positive tests with the players. Like, okay, who's to say that 3 or 4 days from now they might not have another one or two, or some of the teams they played, it might not take till Saturday morning.
Sure.
That's the really hard part, even with daily testing, and that's a big.
Well, they're doing daily testing. That's what I was
at the
say.
NFL level. I mean, that's really important. But if it takes 5 days, 6 days for it to become apparent in your system that you're going to test positive, the daily testing, that's great to continue on, but once you hit Friday or Saturday,
right.
if you've been the opponent of the Titans or the next team that catches this, you're going to get hit on the weekend just before you're supposed to kick off. So it's extremely difficult.
It's Jeff Kemper Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Jeff Kemper, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm always amazed. I was reading during the break. They found this guy taking pictures, I guess, near the Grand Canyon. Fell off, died. Why do we have so many of those stories? 25-year-old guy died Sunday after falling off a cliff. Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, actually. I had that wrong, in Arizona. Authorities, this is the best part of the story, Tom. If there's a best part. So this dude was taking pictures, slipped, and off the cliff we go. There's just no picture on earth worth that. What are you doing, my man? But here's the kicker. When they went down to the bottom of the cliff to pick up his remains, they found another dead person.
Oh, man.
That they didn't know was there. Look at that. There's more dead people.
Wow.
Yeah. Found somebody else that was dead that had been there for a long time because it was just a set of bones. Now, that's eerie.
Ooh.
Yeah, that could have been a serial killer. They don't know. They're looking into it. But imagine you go down there to pick up this guy who I guess people saw fall. We're like, ooh, that's not, he's dead. Somebody call the police. So they did. And then they came there like, okay, well, we have people who do this to rappel down the side there and go get this body for his family, sad as it may be. Hey, look at that, another dead person.
You think Rich, did you say one person? Or
Bob,
two?
Look, isn't that another dead guy? Yeah. But I just was thinking over the years that we've done this show, it's been like 10 to 15 of these kinds of stories where somebody's trying to take a selfie usually. I actually have gotten to where I kind of root for that stuff. I mean, I feel sad for the families, but, you know, this is a thinning of the herd mentality that I have, Tom. If your dumb ass looks at a cliff, and I've been to the cliffs of Moore, if you are looking over a cliff, there's no ambiguity. It's not unbeknownst to you that this is a very dangerous situation. The closer I get to the cliff's edge, the closer I am to putting my life in peril. And yet you still choose to do some sort of, hey, lean out over the edge of the cliff, cool, hey, look at me, I can't wait to post this to Facebook selfie. And you fall, I'm sorry, you don't get my sympathy. Yeah. You're a dumbass.
Yeah, it's not you kind of root for it, you root for it outright.
Well, I don't root just for random people to die. But I'm saying if we find out later on that's the reason you died, yes, I'm unsympathetic. I just go, well, you know, more air for the rest of us.
You did a story, and by doing a story, I mean you relayed a story a few years ago about how many people die a year
taking selfies,
trying to take selfies at different places, and
they get hit
the
by
number
trains.
was staggering.
Oh, it was unreal. It was awesome.
People like climbing, monuments.
Yes. Yeah,
not just hiking, like climbing monuments.
People love to climb buildings when they during the night when there's no security there. They go to a construction site and they go to the top of the beam so that they can take this picture out over the city. And then they find them dead with the camera next to them. Like, hey, well, man, what are you doing? What do you think was going to happen? There was this guy, famous in Japan, I think it was, that loved to take videos of himself. He'd set up a camera, and then he'd walk further away from the camera, and he would do pull-ups over the edge of buildings, skyscrapers. Yeah, well, they found the camera, found no person, went back and looked at the video. He got tired. He did 2 pull-ups. He couldn't do the third. And you see the video. It's him struggling. He can't get up, and he eventually lets go. He dies.
Oh, man.
I would have laughed. What are we doing? What are you doing?
1, 2.
Yeah. I don't think I should test it. Yeah.
Whoopsie.
The moment that's a good one. That moment you realize I can't do a third pull-up, and no amount I want to in the world is going to change the fact that I'm too weak. I can't do this. You'd have to hope for a shot of adrenaline, the likes of which you've never felt. And hope like hell your hands can hold on that long to that adrenaline hits.
I can do this.
You better. You gotta have you done it.
I can do this.
Yeah. I would have assumed when I found the dead body in this ravine down here at the edge of the cliff. And by the way, when you see the picture of the cliff, you're like, why would anybody go to the edge of this? There's no guardrails. There's no reason whatsoever.
Because the selfie would be amazing.
Look at this selfie. Look at me. Look at me. Would you look at me? Yes. And now you're dead It's fantastic. But I would have guessed that if I saw the other person or the set of bones, I'd be like, that was some other dumbass Rich trying to take a selfie. We never found him, but now we know.
Well, we could date it not by carbon dating or dental records. We could actually date it because it was a Motorola Crazer that was found next to him. So we're looking at mid-2000s.
Did you ever have? Do you remember? Did we know each other when I had the? Remember when Nextel was a big thing and you do the?
I had Nextel.
I had the little boop boop boop.
I didn't know you then, but I had Nextel in high school, and that backfired a couple times. Very embarrassing moments when mom's in the pickup line and it's seventh period. I'm not done with school yet. Hey, honey, just letting you know. Oh, that's
don't do it.
Red-faced and just stared at the ground. Love you too, Mom.
Still in class.
Got 15 minutes before we're done.
We got the Scuttlebucks for you tonight at 6 o'clock. Myself and the guy across from me here, Tom Lang. I'm really intrigued by tonight's game because this is a sort of a gut check game with all the injuries the Bucs are dealing with. Listen, the Bears aren't, Seattle or anything, but they're formidable enough. And if you're beat up, you do really wonder where the offense is going to come from.
That's a hard game to figure. If you're just looking at the Bucs offense versus the Bears defense, because the Bears defense is still pretty good. I don't know that it's as good as it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, but if you're only able to complete things underneath because the bevy of receivers are not there and the timing's not there down the field, then they're just going to come up and challenge you. And that's where this game gets really close. 13, 17 points might be enough if the Bucs defense does what it's supposed to do against Nick Foles, who looked completely out of sorts against the Colts last week.
Yeah, I can't. You're right. That's why you stay away from Thursday night games. Dose of bad news that I got to get to. We got to take a quick break, but come back and I'll get to this regarding Florida State basketball. So rare you ever hear me say that in a sentence, but I have to report it here. All is not lost, though. All is not lost. A lot of good players. It's kind of interesting to see this, and we'll see. I've done some fishing around, still doing so, trying to figure out what's at the root of this. Maybe we'll have something when we come back from the break. Jeff Kemper Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Top 50 prospect Bryce McGowan's decommitting from Florida State today. Sources telling ESPN Jeff Borzello writes the piece. Obviously, McGowan's part of the top-ranked 2021 recruiting class for Florida State basketball. He's already heard from Arizona, Georgia, Nebraska, and Virginia Tech within minutes of the decommitment. Sources telling ESPN, of course, he'll hear from everybody. He's a talent. Florida State remains an option. That is the good news on this story. His older brother, Trey, just transferred from Pittsburgh to Nebraska last spring and is going to suit up for the Cornhuskers. 6'6" swingman, shooting guard, really, from Legacy Early College High School in South Carolina. McGowan's committed to Florida State back in February. At that time, Clemson, Pitt, and a few others were involved. He was the highest ranked prospect in our number one ranked 2021 class, number 33 in the ESPN 100, slotted in as the number 8 shooting guard in the country. 3 other ESPN Top 100 prospects, though, still remain here for Coach Hamilton and the crew. We've got Matt Cleveland at number 35, Jalen Worley at number 36, and John Butler at number 48. Got a junior college center, Naheem McLeod, is part of that group as well. So the class is still loaded, but not as loaded.
Well, if he's still considering Florida State, maybe, I don't know, just sounds to the naked ear that he's fielding some offers.
That's what it sounds like.
What kind of breakfast do you offer at Kentucky, Coach Cal? What kind of breakfast, Kay, do you have at Duke?
Because they serve delicious pancakes down in Tallahassee, and I was just curious if it was something else that you had that might sway me from their pancakes.
My goodness, pancakes as well as French toast sticks. Wow. With some maple?
So I will see what happens here. I've done some fishing and tried to find out specifics, and right now it does seem like this may have caught them somewhat by surprise. They were not expecting this. But, it's college basketball recruiting.
Yeah, fluffy Bisquick pancakes.
Which can be a toughie, which features a lot of competition, Tom. A lot of competition in the world of college basketball recruiting.
Well, and listen, there was going to be a response. Leonard Hamilton has gone from dangerous recruiter who gets his guy and then he fills it out the rest of the class.
To elite with everybody.
To I'm eating at your table and my table.
Yeah. I'll eat from your table.
Reservation for this section.
Yeah.
You go over there. In the old smoking section, that's yours.
That's yours. Yeah, that's what you do. That's not what we do anymore. We've gotten to where we kind of sit wherever we want to sit.
You go over there with Patino and the Greeks.
Again with the smoking.
Why is everybody smoking? What is this, 1974?
We got another hour for you. Hang in. Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show. Oddly, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. At least for today. We'll see about that Braves-Marlins game, which is coming up in a little over an hour. That's the reason we're on right now. Redemption Thursday. Wanted to get you some content, as we've done all week long, in spite of the fact that the NLDS has taken up the bulk of our airtime in the slotted position of the Jeff Cameron Show. By the way, you can email, if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. I got an email that I did not answer from earlier in the week about whether or not this man needs to shave his head. His wife says no. He says he thinks it's time. He's fading fast. And he wanted to know whether or not... I'm glad I've kind of become an expert on all things that have to do with balding. Whether somebody is cheating by using a wig or a weave of some sort. People will send me photos all around the country. People send me photos when they suspect that somebody is under the tent of suspicion, that is. And I've had a couple of recent ones that I did not comment on. I got to go back and double-check those. But then also when they want personal advice as to when's the right time. When do you let it go? When do you stop? When do you give up the ghost? And I can only tell you that you ought to be able to feel it. And, sir, I haven't gotten a good look at you. You didn't send a photo. Because I could have told you then what you needed to do, but you did note that you feel like in your heart of hearts that it's thinned enough that it's bothering you and you feel like shaving it, then it is. It's time. The time is now.
Here's a useless bald stat for you, considering this is the topic. Our last 4 defensive coordinators at Florida State have all had shaved bald heads. You had Jeremy Pruitt, Charles Kelly, Harlan Barnett, and now
I don't think Jeremy Pruitt attempted to shave his head, did he? He just balding to the point where it looked like that. Like, I think he was trying to hold on a little bit.
I don't think he was up top. I think he conceded that there was no hair island to work with.
To work with?
Yeah.
Not even an isthmus? So, well, there are a lot more guys that need to come to that conclusion, to concede, as you say, to understand it's time to acquiesce to Mother Nature. Time has taken its toll.
The current OC's time is short. It's kind of like Jordan Spieth.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, his time is rapidly approaching. I just had a sense. I didn't want to be a hypocrite. All those years I made fun of people when they were fading. I was like, okay, when the time's right. And then I saw it one day in the mirror. I had attempted to mousse it a little bit, and I saw, oh no, you can see scalp behind that little clump of hair there. What are you doing, Cameron? I actually have hair. I've said that to people before. I do, but it's not enough.
Man, it
not
might
good
be
enough.
Worth it. I have to for Halloween, which is a Saturday. I guess that Friday show. I've got to get my best Tom Kite costume.
That's right.
You told me to
That's
dress
right.
like
You got to do Tom Kite.
I got to do the face all day.
Yeah, you're gonna be Tom Kite. You're gonna play the role of Tom Kite.
Maybe you should grow out your hair for Hair Island so you could be Jimbo yourself. I think people would love that.
I could do that, but I do have to grow it out, and I don't know.
You just wear a hat every day for the next couple, and it's a surprise for one day.
I take it off, and you just see this poofy.
It's Hair Island for a day for the
and then I
fans for the the 30th show. And
once that's out there, it's out there though, man. You can't undo that picture. The people will throw that back at me for life.
Well, okay, if you wore an A&M shirt while that was happening, then what can they do except call to attention who you're pointing towards?
Yeah. I've got a better shaped dome than Jimbo. He was always in desperate shape there with that. And that's the part I can't help you with. If it's your time to shave, it's your time to shave. But either you get lucky with your head shape or you don't.
And you should get also for the costume blue contacts, so you can have the icy blue angry Jimbo stare. Maybe your eyes could dart for the show.
Oh, just dart around. People are like, look at him. He's in full character. Yeah, we were laughing about him last night, thinking about this Florida game's kind of important for Texas A&M. It's Redemption Thursday, and that's not on the slate. If you missed the first hour of the show, I was here to tell you it's a 2-team teaser kind of weekend is what this is. A little 2-team teaser in the NFL.
Teaser?
That's a 2-team teaser. Los Angeles giving 7. No, we're going to give the 1. We're going to give the 1 to the Washington football team. And then I'll tell you what, I don't think the Jets are going to beat the Cardinals, but we're going to give you just the 1. Just the 1. And that's a 2-team teaser. That's how that works. I got another one for you. And another one. And another one. Took the Seahawks. I'm not giving the 7 to the Vikings. I'm giving you just the 1. Just the 1 point there. And the Steelers are going to beat the Eagles, but I'm not giving you 7, Philadelphia. I'm going to give you just the 1. Just the 1 right there. And that's a 2-team teaser, Tom.
Well, that's a two-team teaser.
That's a 4-team teaser. If I come strong and say all 4 have to hit, what
odds? Oh my!
Let's go. All 4 at what's my odds? What are my odds then, huh?
On a 4-team teaser?
Yeah.
Well, that's favorable. Favorable.
I would think so. I would think so. That's what this weekend's about. Teasers. Because the college football slate's weird. Like even that A&M Florida game is weird. I have a hard time with it. I do like Virginia Tech over North Carolina.
When sports gambling is legalized in this state, and make no mistake, it's coming soon. The tourism dollars are in the tank, so you need a secondary.
From your lips to the Lord's ears. Let's make it so, sir.
Okay, and we open our sports betting bar, right?
Which we will.
Which won't compete. It might be a wing of current bars. Maybe it's just a little section of the current bars that we
carve out a niche, is what you're saying?
Right.
We carve out a little bit of a niche?
The pregame drink will be the 2-team teaser. That's on the cocktail
how
menu.
Good is that? All right. Well, we have a lot of friends in the industry, both gambling and beer sales and restaurants for that matter. I would like to, and this is openly, enticing a company that doesn't currently advertise with us, but I don't care. It's the Jeff Cameron Show. We make the rules here. Our friends at Ology might want to get down with something like that, is all I'm saying. Don't you think right there? It's a good spot, Tom.
Oh, I think that,
there are many people who might. That's admittedly.
Listen,
there are opportunities.
You've got a friend who has a couple restaurants. One's North Side, one's Campus Side. And he's got a place right here up the road on Cap Circle. We've got a friend on the Parkway. I think that there's ample room at all those establishments.
Maybe we could have one at each.
That's what a little parlor. Like we've got a little parlor section.
Like we're in England.
That's where they can house the wagers. And you know what? With your first ticket purchased, you get half off the 2-team teaser.
Here's a 2-team teaser.
That's right.
Here's a little 2-team teaser for you. Why don't you drink that down? Tell me what you think. You want another 2-team teaser?
That would be full price.
Yes.
That's second one.
Yeah, that's first one.
Unless you got another ticket you want to purchase.
Right. We're enticing people,
you get another 2-team teaser on the house.
We would also sell Red Russians.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God, yeah. And when we're there, Teddy is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'd incentivize it. Here's the Red Russian pick of the night, so you get people locked into the hockey on the over.
I like this.
The over hits,
here.
You get the big red light, the goal light, right? You have a little goal horn. That means if you also played the game because you picked the Red Russian ticket, you get the Red Russian on the house. Actually, 2 of them. You get 2.
We're going to start our own place. We can start out small like this and go where our friends are, which I like. But then at some point, this becomes so popular, we just branch out and
little
make it
parlor
happen.
wings.
Yeah. All over. Mm-hmm. Picture you and me pointing and winking at every one of them.
It could just be like a party vehicle, like a big truck, a huge truck.
Doling out 2-team teasers and Red Russians?
That's right. We make the rounds.
Yeah.
So it's a different tour of
I'll take your ticket,
places.
sir. Oh, you get a 2-team teaser with that. There you go.
That's right.
There you go. Enjoy.
Where are the 2-team teasers tonight in town?
Yeah.
Are they on the Parkway or Cap Circle?
Wherever we are, we're in a truck that has a siren. That has to happen. It has to have a siren. And we run that siren when it hits. So wherever we are about town, like you could be like on, I don't know, Appalachian Parkway, all of a sudden you're driving by our new van and the over hits on a Lightning game. The siren goes
Absolutely. It also plays the Soviet anthem.
Oh, people would be so confused.
We might get some runoff
we could get
attention from, local counties, probably a little too much support, but they wouldn't get the joke. That's okay. But we could play that and blare it as we roll down the roads here. That'd be beautiful.
I like it. I'm glad I didn't stress too much here this opener with either Florida State stuff or NFL stuff or even my wagers because Joey St. Germain is going to join us this hour. It's coming up, in fact, as we get to look at the weekend, a little DFS and the difference between FanDuel and DraftKings and also some Week 5 pointers for you. And then in addition to that, Lida Kemper is going to join us. We'll talk about tonight's Bucs game. I'm excited about that, too.
Also, the Scuttle Bucs will air if you're just joining us. And you're like, again with you guys at 1 o'clock. 6 p.m. tonight, provided the Braves don't go 15, 16 innings. 6 o'clock tonight will be the Scuttle Bucs and then the Buccaneers Radio Network instead of Westwood One's coverage because this is the first of many primetime games for Tampa Bay this season. So enjoy that. Gene Deckerhoff going to have the call.
Yeah, he will. He and Dave Moore, who doesn't get back to you. Dave Moore won't get back to you.
I just don't have time.
Could have texted Dave. Could have texted, man. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Segments every week. Let's do it. Little Redemption Thursday action, DSG on DFS, right here on the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by our friends at Downs and St. Germain Research, a full-service market research firm located right here in good old Tallahassee, has been since 1981. Downs and St. Germain Research conducts surveys and focus groups for local, state, and national organizations. Researching to win your fantasy weekend is fun, but researching to strengthen your organization, well, that's a winning strategy. Online at dsg-research.com. Dr. Joseph St. Germain. Hello, Joey. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man, and it's great to join you on a week where the Knowles won, my Vikings won, and your Buccaneers won. I don't know how many times we'll be able to say that, so I'm saying it at least once.
You can say it again. Say it again, real quick.
Hey, the Knowles won, the Vikings won, the Tampa Bay Bucs won. Hooray.
Yeah, and the Bucs are tonight. We'll see if they keep it going. Weird Thursday night games. I never know what to expect. By the way, I this is totally off the cuff. I wouldn't expect you to have this, but these Thursday night games on short rest really seem to me, just this anecdotal, have had the weirdest results, and I don't really tie future results into games like this. Like, you see bad teams beat good teams on a Thursday night. You see one team that's favored lose by 28 on a Thursday night. It's just strange. Have you noticed anything beyond that general observation with these Thursday night games?
Yeah, for that reason, I generally stay away from it. The only thing I have seen and read, there is some tendencies for home teams to win, but you're exactly right. I mean, we've talked the NFL feels like coin flips some weeks anyway because they end up around the spread so often. But in particular, Thursdays just feels like there's more randomness, so I tend to stay away.
All right, so I love this. I saw the rundown, and you sent this to me, and I looked at this and thought, this is perfect because I'm not even sure I know. I haven't been that involved with like FanDuel. We certainly did work with them at one point, and they advertised with us. So I understand how they operate. I've actually never done DraftKings, and I think there are a lot of people out there, Joey, that aren't unlike me who have just sort of a cursory knowledge of what DraftKings and FanDuel are. What are the difference between DraftKings and FanDuel?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and those aren't the only two DFS, daily fantasy sports sites, but they're definitely the biggest two. And this might sound real simple, but you need to know the rules in order to figure out which guys might have a value on one side and some others that don't. And I just like to play both. That allows me to kind of diversify a little bit. FanDuel, there's more variance. It tends to be more hunting for touchdowns. And so you want to pick, and that's the reason why there's more variance. It's really hard to predict touchdowns. Look at the Saints game last week. Everyone loved Kamara, and yet Latavius gets 2 touchdowns, and his value is much less. So on FanDuel, he was a better play. On DraftKings, it's more about predicting volume due to the scoring system. You get a point per reception instead of a half, and then you also get bonuses if you hit 300 or 100 yards. So it's really about predicting volume. And really kind of my difference here is looking at the difference between Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. Their roles have really flipped since how we predicted at the start of the year. Robbie Anderson has become that possession receiver, which makes it more important for DraftKings for Robbie Anderson. And DJ Moore is going to be more of your deep threat, so he may be a more viable play on FanDuel, and frankly better for tournaments, whereas Robbie Anderson kind of be used anywhere.
Cool. It's good. It's funny. It seems simple enough, but you're right. You kind of got to know the rules in order to have some success. Yeah, that makes sense. Week 5, let's talk about it. What are we looking at? What are your pickups? What do you like? Where's the value?
Yeah, it's been a great year for me on DFS, which is frankly not has been as good for gambling. But it's the one thing is I've pointed out inexpensive options, but it's because I'm putting them in the lineup, I'm able to get these guys who've scored a lot of points, even though the inexpensive guys have tanked. So, this is a week where the running backs, I want to get 3 of Ezekiel Elliott, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mike Davis, and Hunt into the lineups. But in order to do all those guys, I need to get some cheap options again. So Robbie Anderson, again, is an inexpensive option who should get volume. But you have Zacchaeus, I'm not sure if I got his name right, for Atlanta, but if Julio's out, he's going to get some targets, and he's worth the stone minimum of 3,000. Same with Bird. I mean, just to give you a sense of, I was able to put together a lineup this morning just for grins of Lamar Jackson, Ezekiel Elliott, CEH, Davis, Anderson, Bird, Zacchaeus, George Kittle, and the Houston defense. That won't be my lineup, but I would guess my cash lineup ends up being pretty close to that.
Yeah, Zacchaeus is a point of contention for me. I have both Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and I may or may not be in a league with you and may have lost by like a point because Calvin Ridley had 0 catches and Julio Jones came out at halftime. Great.
Yeah, I lost two games by 4 and 8 that I didn't even worry about Ridley because they're both point per reception. I'm like, that's a win, and sure wasn't.
No. As I was laying in bed watching that game, and they would announce Zacchaeus with the catch, I'd go, "What's with Zacchaeus?" Time and again. All right, let's keep moving here. You and I were talking off the air, and given what your job is for a living, you're looking at numbers all the time, but data is more than numbers. And give us an example of that.
Yeah, I was actually traveling this week for focus groups, and that's part of what we do. But I kind of realized with focus groups, you're looking at the why, and in surveys, you're looking at the numbers and kind of the what. And it made me realize, it's one of the things about learning the NFL, especially with small sample sizes. I go to the numbers because that's where I'm inclined, but data is more than that. Like, I've been following Brandon Thorne on Twitter, and he did a really great breakdown of Joey Bosa versus Wirfs. And you'd have to scroll down in his timeline because he's doing a lot of offensive and defensive line stuff. But you scroll down to October 5th, and for you Tampa Bay Bucs fans, Wirfs looking good, and he went up against Bosa, and he held his own. Of course, Bosa got him sometime, but also Bosa is one of the best D linemen in the league. And so really, I'm just kind of bringing it up to the point, why I focus on numbers? There's other information, other data out there. So go get it, especially something for me. I know my weaknesses. I don't know offensive, defensive line that well, so I'm learning so much just from watching this guy break it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's get to your picks, sides you like, whatever you want to look at in the NFL for this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, like I said, I tend to start with the most lopsided due to my travel. I haven't figured out all my picks yet. But if you're looking for contrarians for your pools, who most people won't be taking, the Vikings, the Eagles, the Jets, the Redskins, and Chicago tonight are kind of the ones where most people are going to be going against those teams.
Right, you can have a greater impact. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not taking the Jets +7 because I want no part of Joe Flacco, but at least when I really start doing my breakdowns, I'm going to start there. And for example, like we talked about Thursday, if I'm playing a side tonight, I'm going to take the Bears at home, getting 3 in the hook, just because, like I said, I'll probably stay away, but if I'm playing tonight, that'll be the side I play.
Yeah, and I could see that. That actually feels like a play to me. I don't mess with Thursday night games, generally speaking, but if I had to, I would be on the Bears side as well. Joey, it's always good, buddy. Be well and appreciate the insight.
Hey, good to see you.
Yep, take care. Joey St. Germain, Dr. Joseph St. Germain. As always, like to point out to you guys that DSG on DFS here on the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Downs and St. Germain Research. Once again, full-service market research firm located right here in Tallahassee. They have been since 1981. Downs and St. Germain Research conducts surveys, focus groups for local, state, and national organizations. Obviously, it's fun to research to try to win fantasy football games and the like, but trying to win for your organization, that's a winning strategy. Online at dsg-research.com. Jeff Cameron Show continues in a moment. Well, that's especially touching these days when you hear the Eddie Van Halen riff, really any of them, and we've heard a lot of them over the last 48 hours, certainly, but that has been standard operating procedure around here whenever we bring in my next guest, Lida Kemper, JoeBucksFan.com, joins us on the Scuttlebucks. Doff of the cap to the great one. I know, Lee, you're a fan just like I'm a fan, and, growing up, I mentioned this yesterday on my show that I was fortunate enough to have older brothers, and I didn't go to high school until 1985, so 85 through 89, and Van Halen was already firmly established as one of the biggest bands in the world. But those early albums, Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, Diver Down, Van Halen 3, all those records, my brothers had them all, and I remember listening to those records and thinking, this is different, because that sound, that tone, you knew it was very distinctive that guy was different. So I figured we would acknowledge, as I bring you onto the program, the great Eddie Van Halen.
Melancholy couple days for me. What you said is absolutely true, and I'll tell you a quick story. It's football related, and it's Eddie Van Halen related. I was a nothing high school player, but I remember in high school, as all high school kids do, there's parties, and there was this huge party. We had a victory over our bitter rival, and that night or the next night, I can't remember which, it might have been the next night, there was a big party to celebrate this win. And at this win, there's music blaring, and someone pulled up with a car, and they had a kick rear end stereo system in the car, and they played this song, and it was like, whoa, what is this? And that was the very first time I heard Van Halen, and it was it Where is Love, or Should There Be Love, or Is This Love? It was off the first album. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, and I just remember hearing that for the first time. And Howard Stern said it best. When you first heard Van Halen, you knew you heard something superior. And I'll never forget that. And like Greg Gutfeld, SBS for Esquire, and he said, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, the first time you heard Van Halen, you know what I'm talking about. And those two guys said it best. I mean, I'll never forget that. I was instantly hooked and forever hooked on Eddie Van Halen. So, like, as you said perfectly, Doff of the cap. He gave so many millions of people, enriched their lives, and gave them countless hours of enjoyment. That guy had an impact on the world, because it wasn't just America, it wasn't just Los Angeles, it was the world, and few people can do that, ever pull that off. He was one of those people. Virtuoso.
On to the football, and the Bucs win a thrilling game, a bizarre football game, and now we look to tonight's game against Chicago. But before we do, I got to tell you, I was at that game, and I'm watching it with my son, and obviously I'll be forever happy for him that the first drive he ever saw in person for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is led by Tom Brady down the field. It is, a thing of beauty, that opening drive. And they punch it in, and I'm like, there it is, son. That never changes. That's the first drive you've ever seen in person for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's led by Tom Brady, and it's a touchdown. And, man, you'll remember that. You don't realize it, but you'll remember that. And then the game turns on a dime, and Herbert looks like the better quarterback for the better part of a half. And I'm sitting there stunned thinking, well, great beginning, but they're going to get blown out. And frankly, if Anthony Lynn and his infinite wisdom didn't do what they did at the end of the first half, I don't think the Bucs come back. I don't think Tom Brady engineers a comeback. They get a gift from the gods of stupidity. As instead of taking a knee, they decide to run and not only run, but do what they did with a read. It's unbelievable. So they get the gift-wrap touchdown, and then it's off to the races, and Tom Brady becomes Tom Brady again. Almost instantaneously to start the second half, you see an entirely different guy. And when he's really good right now, he's really, really elite. When he's not, it makes you wonder where he is. I mean, he's a guy that has had, by and large, a great start to his career in Tampa, but he has entire quarters and halves sometimes where you go, what the hell is this? The arm strength is gone. There's another pick six. All of a sudden, you're questioning whether or not this was a good move. I can't quite explain it, but when he's good, he's all-time good.
Oh, yeah. He's uneven. He doesn't look fully comfortable yet. And I like to listen to Chris Sims' breakdown of games, the former Bucs quarterback, and obviously his dad was the great Phil Sims. And Chris Sims works as a talking head for NBC Sports. And he's really got some good breakdowns. And what I think is interesting with Chris Sims is he spent a year as an offensive assistant with Belichick. So he obviously knows the Patriot system, and he obviously knows Brady. So his insight I find to be very, very interesting and enlightening. And he's brought up a few things about Brady. He said that, number one, you could tell that Arians is incorporating a lot of the Patriots offense to help Brady, get him on his 2 feet, so to speak. And he said he's noticed a pattern. In the shotgun, Brady is quite often running a Patriot play, the short dink and dunk play. He said when Brady's under center, it's an Arians play. They're going deep. He's noticed that pattern, number one. Number two, about the pick six. Sims excoriated Justin Watson. He said that was, I can't use the same word, the FCC will come after. But let's just put it this way, it was species related. The way, and he just tore apart Justin Watson. He said on that particular route, you're supposed to run straight at a cornerback. You attack the cornerback. You don't try to run past him. And he said if you try to run past the cornerback on that particular pass, you're begging for an interception. So they could be that Sims is a quarterback, so he's going to take the quarterback point of view. But he tore apart Justin Watson on that pick six. He said that was all on Justin Watson. I thought that was very interesting. Brady isn't fully comfortable yet, and at times, like you said, you wonder, what's going on here. But when he's on, and he sure doesn't look like a 43-year-old quarterback to me. He certainly has the arm yet, and statistics are showing that he's having one of his best career years throwing the deep ball, which that's Arians' bread and butter. So it's very interesting. Hopefully, he's more on than off with the Bears. The Bears' tough defense. But yeah, you're right. There are times where you're like, what is this? Ryan Griffin is out there? What's going on?
I want to make sure I phrase this properly. I think right now I certainly do not have buyer's remorse. I mean, this has been a good addition. He gets the ball out quicker than Jameis does. He does a better job of protecting the football, even in light of the interceptions I'm referring to. He's been good. He's been very good. It's just that when he's not, he's really not. He looks completely lost, and you're thinking, is this the byproduct of not having that chemistry yet or not really completely knowing the offense yet? I don't know what it is, but when he's bad, he's bad. Other than that, he's more often really, really, really good and obviously deadly accurate. When you're completing over 65% of your passes, you're having a fine campaign. And he does get the ball down the field, which was my original concern. So, on the whole, I'm very satisfied. I'm also satisfied with this offensive line, which has played, for the most part, very well. You've got a couple of candidates on this offensive line to be, at this junction of the season, would be Pro Bowlers. I mean, Ali Marpet is probably playing better than any guard in the National Football League, you could argue. And then I think, obviously, the addition of Tristan Wirfs has been a slam dunk. He's just been nothing short of not good for a rookie, but rather really good, period, at tackle.
Yes. Matter of fact, I recorded last night the future, I guess I could say, the next edition of the Ira Kaufman podcast. And I asked him, I said, now, Ira, I'm not trying to be a troll here. I'm not trying to be, be a contrarian. I'm not trying to put up a false premise here. I have a legitimate question for you. I said, I know Ali Marpet's having a really good year, but based on who the guy had to block so far, is Tristan Wirfs their best offensive lineman? And I don't think that's an outrageous question. You look who he's had to block thus far.
Yeah.
I think that's a legitimate question. And that's not a knock on Ali Marpet at all. That's not a knock on Jensen at all. I think that's a legitimate question. Is Tristan Wirfs, as a rookie through 4 games, their best offensive lineman? I don't think that's an outrageous suggestion or question. He's playing that well, and obviously Thursday night, he's got a handful with him again. Khalil Mack, I think he's 3rd in the league in quarterback pressures. So this is another test for Tristan Wirfs. But so far that draft pick has been an absolute home run. And also, with the blocking, I don't think you could discount Rob Gronkowski. And poor Gronkowski, his model girlfriend, his SI cover girl girlfriend, she puts out a video. I think we might all be able to relate to this. She puts out a video over the weekend on Instagram Stories, which is only available for 24 hours. She puts out a video of his littered car with about a half dozen or 9 empty plastic water bottles on the floorboard.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, I'm hydrating."
He's blocking is what he's doing. He's done a great job blocking, by the way.
Yeah, actually, this morning I just put up a video. It may have just published as we are speaking. Gronkowski blocking Joey Bosa 1-on-1, and he did a pretty good job. So it was a combination of Wirfs, the addition of Wirfs, and the addition of Gronkowski that's really, really been a benefit for the Bucs offensive line as a whole.
What's the concern going into tonight's game? Short rest, banged up receivers. We know that's the obvious answer. Do you have anything else to add to that as far as what would have you a little worried about tonight's matchup?
A couple things. Evans, although I expect Evans to play because Evans is a throwback. If you think about it,
He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. He probably should have been out there when they opened the season against the Saints, but he gutted it out. Obviously, he had an ugly ankle injury last week. You probably saw it with your own eyes.
Up close and personal, buddy.
Media where you were.
Yeah.
When he caught that touchdown pass, he struggled to get back to the Bucs bench.
Yeah, he did.
So he gutted it out. He's a throwback. I think he'll play, but apparently it's a game time decision, quote unquote. But I expect him to play only because that's the way Evans is. And by the way, earlier this year, Evans was asked about his hamstring injury, and he just waves it off. He goes, "Everybody plays hurt in the NFL. Like, no big deal." He's just a throwback. He could have played in the 50s when it was open season on receivers going across the middle. Scotty Miller is also a concern. And by the way, who would expect Scotty Miller through 4 games to be on pace for 1,000 yards? That's a little surprising.
Well, we joked about that at the start of the season. Brady likes receivers like him.
Yeah, although in his history is those guys aren't as quick as Scotty Miller.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. So that's another surprise. Now, I received a text from someone at One Bucs Palace this week, and I was kind of told don't swallow the injury report whole, and I get that there might be some games to chip, but the reason why this guy texted was the Bucs didn't really have any practices this week. They had a practice yesterday, and then they took off to Chicago. Because it's a short week, they were doing almost all exclusively walkthroughs, not real practices, because number one, they're banged up. Number two, is a short week. Number 3, they want to be healthy for Chicago. So they really only had one practice, and the NFL mandates if you're having a walkthrough, if you're having a full blown out all hit practice, if you're having a half practice, where they're just wearing shells and shorts, you still have to have an injury report. So don't put a lot of emphasis into the injury report because they really weren't hitting this week. They were doing walkthroughs. So that also tells me that most of these guys will probably try to make a go of it.
Brother, I always appreciate it. Head to JoeBucksFan.com for more insight. Lida Kemper joins us every week on the Scuttle Bucs. Good work out of you, and we'll talk next week.
Oh, thanks again, Jeff. I always enjoy talking to you and Tom. So let's go Bucs this week tonight.
Absolutely. Take care. That's Lida Kemper, JoeBucksFan.com once again. By the way, you can get a new 2020 Ford F-150 trucks. I guess that's right now at Bill Curry Ford for up to $14,000 off. That sounds like a great deal to me. $14,000 off. The October offers are extra special at Bill Curry Ford, and you can start shopping at BillCurryFord.com. Bill Curry Ford, General Manager Sean Sullivan, lifelong Bucs fan, and he wants to help you personally in every way that he can, whether that's by phone, email, text, or right there in the modern Bill Curry Ford showroom, 1 mile north of Raymond James Stadium on Dale Mabry Highway. Curry family cares deeply about the community and its customers and has for the last 60 years. Bill Curry Ford is home to the nationwide lifetime warranty on new and used vehicles. Get started at BillCurryFord.com and remember to ask for Scuttlebucks, that's this, or Joe Bucks fan discounts. BillCurryFord.com. Wrapping up a Redemption Thursday, another weird edition of the Jeff Cameron Show because, again, in mere moments, you'll be hearing Braves-Marlins, where the Braves have a chance to sweep the Marlins and move on to the NLCS. They'll do so with the efforts of Kyle Wright. Sixto Sanchez getting a start for the Marlins. Should make mention here that it's the final segment of the program, which is always brought to you by our friends at Wood & Glass, a family-owned and operated business serving Tallahassee in the Big Bend area since 1945. They are Tallahassee's first family and glass replacement, highly respected for their quality of installation, both residential and commercial. Wood & Glass, 222-5781. That's 222-5781 for Wood & Glass. Cue it up, Tom.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching probables?
Yeah, I just mentioned it. I'll mention it again here. Kyle Wright, be his first postseason appearance, 25 years of age. Last pitched on September the 25th when he allowed 2 runs in a career-high 6 2/3 inning and a no decision against the Red Sox. Sixto Sanchez, a rookie, was electric in his postseason debut, shutting out the Cubs over 5 innings. They'll need him to do the same here.
Yeah, the fate of our broadcast schedule tomorrow rests in the hands of these two guys primarily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the Marlins win, then the Braves and Marlins play again tomorrow at 2:08. If the Braves win, as usual, 3-6, Jeff Cameron Show. So that's how
Braves
that
win! Braves win!
That's how that will go. A's Astros going on in a little bit too, about an hour and a half from now, a little bit longer. That was a fun game last night. All the twists and the turns and the 3-run homer down the right field line ties the game, and the A's go on to win it. I'm glad they did. I think it's universally agreed upon, screw the Astros.
A record number of runs are being scored via the home run this year, and you would think that would be a record that is a year old, right? Something from 2018, 2019. Yeah. It's over 50 years old, 60 years old or thereabouts. From Jason Stark, I saw that note yesterday. It's at like 54, 55% of all runs so far are through the home run. Not
balls leaving the yard.
Doubles and singles, yep. Mm-hmm.
A's throwing Frankie Montas, and the Astros don't know who they're going to throw just yet, but whoever it is, I hope they're terrible. Rays, Yankees, Ryan Thompson going for the Rays. He'll be making his first career postseason start, and what a time to do so. He made one appearance as an opener this season, tossing 2 scoreless innings against the Yankees on August the 8th. He'll be the opener for this one. Ryan Yarbrough is expected to get the bulk of the innings after that. So, the Rays do things different, but they win a lot.
They're just a better ball club than the Yankees. They just are. They're 7 games better than the Yankees in the regular season. Yeah. They won 8 of 10 against them in the regular season. It's amazing for all that money. These no-names, 6 RBI last night from the 8 and 9 hole in that lineup. Mm-hmm. They're just better.
Than most any team in baseball is the thing, and you'd like to see that justly rewarded with a trip to the ALCS and a trip to the World Series and a possible championship, and all of a sudden Tampa's title town if that happens. And, we're getting way out in front of our skis here, but it's not crazy to think the Rays could win the World Series. They had the best record in the American League during the year. As you just noted, 8 of 10 during the regular season over the Yankees. They've now taken 2 of 3 in the postseason over the Yankees, so that's 10 of 13 they've won against the Yankees? Goodness.
The Yankees actually made up a game in the non-Rays contests, but it was an 8-game spread between the two. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It is. Yankees are going to throw Jordan Montgomery. Let's go Rays. Let's go Rays. That's a look at those that shall reside on the bump. If someone asks, this is where I'll be higher. We're drifting in out. Yeah, baseball's been really good. We had some worries there, but I think postseason baseball here has been pretty much riveting. I mean, the ending of that Padres-Dodgers game last night ends with the bases loaded for the Padres after scoring 2 in the 9th to get within 1, and you're thinking, oh my God, they're going to come all the way back because that's what they do. But it doesn't happen. Fun game. It's a good stretch here. You think about this. I believe we've got Thursday Night Football for college tonight as well. So you get the NFL with the Bucs and the Bears, 8:20. You got Tulane and Houston going off, I do believe. And then, of course, all these baseball games to boot. This is not a bad day at the office. Every day you go home.
I believe there's Friday night ACC football tomorrow as well. I'll double check on that. But, yesterday's Braves and Marlins game, it really wasn't all that dramatic. It was 2-0. And Boy, the Braves have played a lot of low-scoring games so far this postseason. But the most dramatic moment of the game for the Marlins to try and get back into it was actually a single that's dumped into right field, but the runner at first had to wait, and so he gets forced out at second base. Doesn't count as a single.
He got caught in between, and was on his way back to first, then realized no, and then got thrown out.
But that's the end of the only rally where they could have, mounted something towards the end. Louisville, Georgia Tech is, in fact, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's something.
It's football. You're not wrong.
Hockey's gone. Baseball's almost gone. So we cling to weekday football.
We do. No, I'm not against it. It's just Louisville, Georgia Tech. I'm kind of like, okay.
I'm not tuning into Game 5 of the finals. That one's over.
I probably will. I'll see if the Heat are going to beat Game. I think they might be. Yeah, that's a tough team. I'll tune in.
Check the halftime score.
Yeah, and then decide, okay, I'm in. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Enjoy the Braves game. It's coming up next, as always, and you'll hear a little bit of the pregame show followed by the actual action. And again, if the Braves win, they win the series 3-0, and we'll be back regular time tomorrow, 3 to 6. If not, it's another 12-2 effort from us tomorrow.
It's a nooner.
Yeah, there you go. Good night. Be well.